Hello, fellow Earthlings. In honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, I decided to make a couple videos about my personal experiences with regards to this topic. I really like all things mental health, all things psychology. I have been on this self-discovery, self-healing path for a long time, really, almost 10 years, and there's so much out there to discover, and there's so much out there to talk about, and I wanted to touch on a few topics that were really important to me, and one of them is EMDR. So I have an experience with EMDR. I went to therapy. EMDR stands for eye desensitization movement reprocessing. Basically, you're using your eyes and you're calibrating your brain in a way that helps you reprocess memories, essentially. There are many ways to do this. The specific method that my therapist used for me was she used these two buzzers for my hands, where they would buzz from right to left hand back and forth. And then with my eyes, I had to follow a white light that was bouncing back and forth on this like lightsaber looking thing. Basically, this was so I can reprocess some of these like really stuck memories that I had in my body. We really kind of jumped into it because we believed that there was more intensity that I could go through in order to process some of these rough things that I've been through. Talk therapy can help, and it's valid, and it's helped me a lot, but there's only so much you can do when it comes to talk therapy. And when it comes to deeper issues like trauma, it really is something where you have to engage your body, because trauma gets stored in your body. It gets stored in your fascia, it gets stored in your muscles, and most of all, it like breaks down your nervous system, so that you have to start doing things with your body to help bring your systems to a natural place and to heal them back to where they're meant to be. That's why when you do yoga and you're taking deep breaths, that's basically you entering a parasympathetic nervous system response, and your limbic brain knows everything's okay, I'm safe now. So essentially, EMDR helps you engage both sides of your brain in a way that helps them balance out, and then that feedback gets sent to the nervous system and helps rewire and calm down the nervous system. So I've been with this therapist at that point for probably about 2 years and maybe 2.5. And we've done a lot of talk work, we've done a lot of other modalities, but when we've got to a point of kind of like a halt in my process, I would say, she recommended we try EMDR. And I would like to say that I've had both benefits from it, but it also had me destabilized. It created some more problems for me that I had before. So I will start by saying this: EMDR can probably work for many different things, but for me specifically, it was for my trauma. And she had me go over these memories while we were sitting in her room, and I was using the buzzers and I was watching the light going. And while I was going into the memory, I also had to view that memory from a person view of where I was at the present time, where I was doing EMDR, and what I would have told myself, how I would have viewed the situation differently, how I would have tackled it differently, what would I tell myself being the person that I was at that point. So it was a good experience for the first few times. And it was honestly the kind of experience where I was glad that I did it, because it really helped me realize what I needed truly on the grand scale of things. But at the time, it was very scary. So my first 2 times, I was recalling these things and I was going through them. And the thing with EMDR is that you can't just process things right away. You end up just kind of going with this like a few days, weeks, sometimes after, you still have residue of the work that you've done at your... Sorry, I had to go check on my dogs. They're insane. So basically, we were going through these memories, but you kind of still have the after effects of EMDR when you do it. You end up having to process everything in the upcoming days and weeks, and it can be hard, and it can be something that kind of messes with your functionality, maybe at work. I know it did for me. It can mess with your functionality in other aspects because you're just kind of reliving these memories, right? So we went pretty hard for the first couple times. And the third time that I've done it, we ended up tapping into a very old memory, and I had really big trouble coming out of it. I was not able to ground myself after our session, and I was just like feeling like a zombie basically afterwards, and I was really dissociated, and I was really ungrounded, and it kind of went on like that for a few weeks. And at the time, I wish I knew better skills so that I could ground myself better, and I think this is why it was scary for me. And if you are considering EMDR and you think that you can handle the more heavy aspects of it, and you have good grounding skills, and you have a good therapist and good support where you know you can bring yourself back, do it. Because for me, it was really helpful. But at the time, after that third session, I had no skills, and I had not enough sense of stable self to be able to really bring myself back into reality. So a few days went by, a few weeks went by, and we decided that we are going to be done for EMDR. We're not going to do it as intensely as we have until that point, and we're going to go easier. So with that being said, I was released from various burdens by going through EMDR, because by sitting in that room with the person that I trusted and going over these memories with the person that I knew had my best interest in mind and wanted to help me and supported me emotionally, I was able to work through some of those difficult memories. Eventually, having this experience also made me realize that I needed to incorporate other methods of healing so that I can be more whole and process my past in a better way. There's actually many different ways to do EMDR, as long as you are creating a certain rhythm in your body and you are calibrating both sides of your brain. You are doing EMDR because you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system. Walking is also has the same effect on your body as EMDR does. It's just in a much easier sense, and of course it doesn't involve any kind of serious mental work. I do find myself thinking about how my day was and processing when I do walk outside, and I do know that this is kind of the case for when I was in a darker place. Walking was really helpful. Like, I would just go outside, get fresh air, walk, and I would feel better every time, because it really helps you get back to yourself in a more grounded way. Now it's been probably 2 years since I've done EMDR. Yeah, it is 2 years since I've done EMDR, and it was a really important cornerstone for my healing journey. I think it really taught me how deeply I needed to go in order to heal my traumas. It really taught me how much I needed to look into myself and how much support I really needed. And I am glad I did it. Even though it was a hard experience for me, I'm glad I did it, because it still had brought up things that were buried deep inside of my mind back to the surface so that I can heal them. And even though when I was going through this process of working with myself in that way, I would be left having to integrate a lot in the following days, and having to really be grounded and practice more yoga, be more gentle with myself, I really saw how much was stored in my nervous system. And by doing EMDR, I was able to purge at least some of that. So this is my experience, positives and negatives, really. But for me personally, I'm happy that I did it. I would say definitely having support and having people around me that were able to be there for me, and people who were able to accept my darker states when I was going through this process, was really helpful. And most importantly is having a therapist that I trusted was a really big plus as well. So thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful.